Good morning. Welcome to the County Board emergency meeting. Will you please rise and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And do we start with a roll call?
Commissioner Lupke. Commissioner Lupke.
Yes.
Just doing roll call. Commissioner Barrows.
Here.
Commissioner Franzine.
Here.
Commissioner Lee.
Here.
Waring is absent.
Okay. First thing on the agenda is the sheriff's update on the Flanders wildfire.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Clayton Barr, Crow Wing County Emergency Management Director. Again, wanting to give a update on the Flanders wildfire. I'll just kind of give a overview of the fire itself to give you a perspective of how things kind of transpired. In the afternoon of the 16th of May, approximately 12:34, there was a report to our dispatch of smoke and a fire near the Flanders Lake. Emergency crews and fire departments responded to that area. Quickly, upon arriving on scene, it was identified that the fire was, again, progressing rapidly. Local DNR arrived very shortly thereafter. They had also requested air support for fighting the fire. Local law enforcement also responded to the scene and, again, beginning notifications for the evacuation of residents in and around the immediate area. Emergency management arrived thereafter. Unified command was established with the fire service, local fire departments, and law enforcement. Again, as the fire progressed, we identified as far as where those evacuation areas should be, working with the Forestry Service, the initial reports as far as which direction the fire was going to ensure that we had all residences within that evacuation zone. On one of the handouts that I provided shows those evacuation zones.
That's the one. Do you want the other one? No.
Is the other one? We utilize the Ready, Set, Go initiative as far as when it comes to evacuation. The Ready, letting residents know that there was an incident and to start preparing. The Set is essentially that at that time they should be ready to go at a moment's notice. And the Go indicated that these residents should be, again, evacuating immediately. A wireless emergency alert was sent out to those residents in the Go zone. And sometimes that area outside of that is also covered as well with that wireless emergency alert. Approximately 294 residences were located within that Go zone for evacuation. The instructions as far as where to go was posted on the county website to go to the Cross Lake Community Center for sheltering and additional information, and Public Health will discuss or talk about that a little bit more in depth as well. Once the initial evacuation was established for the wireless emergency alerts, and local fire departments utilize resources to assist in protecting structure support for fire. Results that we had gotten back was no primary residences were destroyed, and we had one secondary residence that was burnt as a result of the fire. During this process, the Type 3 Incident Management Team was requested, and also the Minnesota Interagency Fire Center responded with assets as far as coordinating fire activities to fight the fire. It was approximately 21 different fire agencies throughout the state, including hot shots from Manitoba, Canada, that were part of this fire effort. As of today, the fire itself is 95% contained, and approximately 689 acres have been damaged due to the fire. We have, as a county, have again declared a state of emergency for that area. The governor also signed a letter of emergency for Crow Wing County, allowing for National Guard assets to be assisted in that firefighting efforts. As we move into the transition of the fire, tomorrow the fire will be handed over to local units. The local DNR will be taking over, and our Type 3 Incident Management Team and the MINSI will be departing the area, turning the fire and incident command over to local units. Next steps when it comes to the fire itself is working on the recovery, working with residents, and identifying needs. This afternoon, and Public Health may touch on this a little bit more, but we'll be going to residents, door to door, checking on residents and identifying needs for those residents affected by the fire. We had 2 local agencies, organizations that were accepting donations for those residents and emergency personnel. Lakes Area Heroes, and approximately $17,000 was received by them, and another $5,000 in kind. And the Bridges of Hope received approximately $9,800 in donations, which will be working with those agencies to ensure that those funds are brought back to the affected residents and fire departments and emergency personnel for that fire response. As we continue to do preliminary damage assessments, again, the fire itself is not fully handed over to local units yet, so it is still an active fire scene. And we are getting preliminary damage assessments in, but until that is completely turned over to local units, then we'll be able to go in and do a more thorough damage assessment. Our threshold for requesting state disaster assistance is approximately $160,000. Right now, with, again, the very preliminary estimates that have gotten in, we're at around $138,674. And we're, again, expecting that to rise as we work with Mission Township and when we start figuring our debris management into that process as well. At this time, I'm open to any questions from the board.
Question for you, Clayton. When they get those donations, does that count against the threshold to receive state or federal funds?
It does not.
Does not, okay.
Yep, just a couple questions. The briefing on Monday night, I believe, said that we were at 14 acres, and you said 689. Can you explain the difference?
Correct. Those changes, and it may change again today, so as they bring in different assets to identify imagery on the affected areas, those areas, it's going to continue to vary. And they have another imagery plane coming in today to do one more assessment of those areas, and I suspect that those numbers may change again, and they may go up or they may go down. These are preliminary numbers that are received based off of kind of best estimates on the affected areas.
Yep.
Other questions?
Nope.
Thank you so much.
Great job, though.
Thank you.
Great job out there. Appreciate everybody that showed up, the volunteers, the people that donated. It was an amazing effort. I was at Sourcewell last night. There was people that came from the Monaga area to assist. You talk about people from Canada. It's just amazing how quickly those resources came together. And
I mean, just the overall response for our fire departments, and the fact that we have, again, no primary residences that were destroyed as a result of their efforts is extraordinary.
It's amazing. Thank you.
one quick thing though, and this might be for the chief deputy. Have we contacted the people of interest? Or Sheriff, I'm sorry, I didn't see you in the audience.
Amber? I'm a law enforcement officer, I'm not a fire guy. So I'm not gonna be using vernacular that they want me to use. I'm just a cop here today. So this, as I've looked at fires before in the past, over 30 years, you can see right here, this is basically where the fire started. So when I walked over there to look at that area, there was, there was 3 different possibilities where there were fires.
Okay.
And there was one, campfires. There was one particularly of interest that was a little smaller than a normal campfire. And I think the reason that was smaller than a normal campfire was because of the concern of this, because it was very windy that day and it would have got out of hand. So the correction, or the COs are, along with some fire folks, are doing the investigation on that. And they have identified some folks of interest. And again, we'll be probably doing some social media posts about that area to see if people recognize that area through social media, or they were snapping through Snaps or Instagram or something like that, that would help other people who have seen those photos, may have seen those photos, bring that to us. So we are, we're close.
Okay.
And we don't know if it was a fire that was the night before or a fire of that day. The fire started around noon, and but it could have been the night before, and then just, spooled up because of the wind.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so very much. You want to come and sit at the table?
Sure. Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. I'm Gina Heyer, Public Health Manager.
Good morning, Jacqueline Sticky, Public Health Emergency Preparedness.
We're going to talk to you about the emergency shelter that we set up at the Cross Lake Community Center starting on Saturday.
So just a little bit of the timeline from our perspective. Started about 2 o'clock for me. Just by coincidence, I happened to be working as a smoke chaser with the DNR that day. So I was listening to the radio traffic come in and could hear that the fire was getting larger, not smaller. So about 2:30, I contacted my leadership. I contacted Gina to start some pre-mobilization of our staff and see who was available that day to help if something was needed. About 2:45 or so, I hadn't heard anything, but again, I could hear the radio traffic, so I got a hold of Clayton, who just said, "How quickly can you get here?" And after that, I made a few calls. We started mobilizing, figured out a place to meet. I got a hold of the Red Cross to request their assistance and their mobilization. As we go through, they did have a few volunteers there, but due to all of the wildfires and everything happening across the state, they were pretty maxed at their capacity, which really had public health leading the charge in this. We decided to, as soon as we could get to Cross Lake, open up a temporary evacuation point, or a TEP, just to start, become a place for folks to come if they were evacuated to get information. We just started with snacks and an evening meal. We about 8:30 decided with the folks that were there and with the unknowns to pivot the TEP to a full overnight shelter. After attending the evening debrief or briefing at the EOC, we realized that we had about 20 or so residents at the shelter that were waiting for information. So I came back with the information that we had at the time, and we were lucky enough to have Sheriff Kling come and give some information that he knew as well to those residents. After that update, we had, at that time, so it was later in the evening, about 9 o'clock or so, we ended up with 3 residents in the overnight shelter. They had pets, and 8 that we were able to send to Camp Knudsen, who had offered up space in their camp for folks that were displaced. So we were there for the overnight. We provided breakfast and meals and snacks the following day. Again, that morning, we had residents come back, and then we're waiting for another update on the situation. And fast forward, we were open all day. About 7 p.m. Sunday night, we didn't have any residents there that were going to stay. We did stay open just in case something changed and folks showed up and wanted to stay. But we did decide that evening that that would be our last night of sheltering, and we would stay open till 5 o'clock the next day just to still be that place of information and snacks just for people to check in. As Clayton mentioned, today we are going out. We have 4 teams of 2 going out to do home-to-home wellness checks on everyone and help with some of that preliminary damage assessment. And really, just want to mention one of the things, we were able to do this so quickly and have stuff on hand because of this preparedness trailer that we had. You've probably heard it mentioned at different board meetings, but it really did come in as an asset as we thought it would. We had it stocked with cots and blankets and all of the stuff we needed to go from an evacuation point to a shelter and everything in between.
So we thank you for your approval
Yes,
of that
thank you.
purchase, because it was very assistive in the community. We would not have been able to rally and get there as quickly as we did without that. Questions?
No questions, but again, I'll just say it's remarkable how quickly it came together, and all the agencies collaborating and not beating each other up, but actually knowing what their place was in the mission to address these individuals that were being displaced and that. So thank you very much for the team and everything they did.
Definitely was a joint effort. We had many volunteers from the community, churches, people that were donating.
Huge outpouring of support from the Cross Lake and Crow Wing County as a whole, bringing everything from, food to bodies to help, people there to help. It was
Pretty heartwarming,
It
actually.
was very heartwarming, yes.
And again, I'd just like to echo my support from the emergency management side of house. Just phenomenal, the work that these ladies did and the organization as a whole from Community Services and Public Health. Again, I got that call and I just knew it was off my plate. One less thing to have to worry about, and they did a phenomenal job. So I cannot thank them enough for all their support. Thank you.
Jacqueline is our Public Health Emergency Preparedness Coordinator. Thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you so very much.
Before you leave, I just want to say one thing. I was up there for most of this event at different times. You and I never crossed paths, Jacqueline, but I heard multiple compliments about you and the work that you're doing up there, and very much appreciative, so.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning,
Morning.
Madam Chair and Commissioners. Just a quick update from the Highway Department, kind of in a little tough spot with our County Road or CASA 11 construction project. I provided a little summary for your board packet. I believe you've seen that. In 2026 here, we started on CASA 11 on May 4th. our contractor was out there doing some prep work in advance of about 11 miles of paving. And if you went out there today, you'll see a couple areas where they have had to dig up, and we were building a left turn lane. We're doing some bridge approach work and then correcting some subgrade stuff. So we have a couple areas out there. You'll see vast areas of the old pavement and these areas of new pavement with just a thin layer over them where they covered up their excavation. And so when the fire happened this weekend, or this past weekend, we came in Monday and made the decision to stop the contractor from going in there. They were about ready to do the milling operation to peel off the existing pavement and then come right back and pave it. We called them off. It's still an active fire scene. We wanted to make sure that we were staying out of the way of the fire crews and other public safety things. So they are currently not working, and we're still kind of pending on a decision when to get them back to working. And some of the information that Tom will come up and talk about a little bit later plays into that decision. It sounds like there's going to be a very large logging operation. We're going to have a lot of trucks and a lot of traffic out there, and we're concerned that some of those areas that are vulnerable now because they just have a thin layer of pavement could be destroyed, causing us to do rework. That's estimated potentially, if it completely was destroyed, $250,000, so about $250,000. And on top of that, some other expenditures that the contractor would have to incur to move equipment off site, mobilize and remobilize an asphalt plant that they have set up specifically for this, or primarily for this. And so there's some potential costs with stopping them from work too long. They're kind of just, I'm sure they're watching right now, just trying to figure out how they can move forward with this project or what they'll have to do if they can't. That this week-long delay has already cost us $12,000 or so, because they had their equipment sitting there waiting to start work on Monday. They could not do that, and these companies don't sit idle. If that equipment's sitting there, they're not making money. And so they moved it off-site. As soon as I made a decision on Monday, they will be at least this week. They will not be in there. And so that is a cost that we will have to incur to recoup, so we can reimburse them for that. If it goes into more weeks, months, then we're looking at much larger mobilization. Most expensive is probably all of it associated with their bituminous plant. They would have to pick up and move that and reshuffle a lot of their schedule. So my initial thought was to keep the old pavement on there, and we haven't heard about the logging operation yet, but I've been talking with Tom. It sounds like thousands of trucks loaded, fully loaded with the timber that's going to come out of there. And my initial thought was to leave the pavement on there, let them consume what we have out there, and then come back in the fall and continue operations and make the road new again. But if you went out there and saw those vulnerable areas, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars of work that they've already done. My other thought was if those trucks go across, it'll cause damage, and we'll definitely be doing rework on those areas to the tune of $250,000 plus the remobilization, another close to $100,000. And so in my write-up, I suggested that we continue on and allow our contractor to get back in there, make the pavement new, and then allow the trucks on there and run the risk of the damage that they will cause just by using it. It's almost the lesser of two evils. There's no real great solution. And so my recommendation is to allow the contractor to continue on with the work beginning next week, and then react to the logging operation and any damage that it might done. as I've sat here and just talked about it this morning, more conversations with Tom just even a few minutes ago, there may be some other options where we can do a portion of the road and still potentially allow our contractor to move forward while also protecting those cover up those vulnerable areas. The logging operation, the access points that Tom has been talking to me about are fairly limited to about 1.5 miles. The total length is 11 miles or so. So I guess recommendation is to move forward with allowing our contractor to button that up and then react to any damage that happens from the logging trucks.
So question, Tim, this would be for Clayton. Are any of those costs recoverable under the emergency?
Potentially, I'll take what we have here and go forward with the state and to see what category, if it would fall under category C for roads and bridges, and see what they come back with as far as eligibility.
Okay.
There's some other mitigation strategies that we've talked about, is paving some of those access points that Tom identified to help prevent some of the damage that could happen from the turning vehicles or the trucks turning onto the road. And that may be an expense, Clayton, that we're working to quantify right now, and we'll see if that's eligible. It's going to be an expenditure. Think about, we would pave back maybe 10 feet off the existing roadway, but then because we know that these trucks are going to be coming out of there in large volumes, we maybe pave back 50 feet so they're not transitioning to gravel, to it breaking up that 10-foot bituminous right at the edge of the roadway. So we're thinking about some mitigation strategies to prevent some of the damage that might be done by some of these heavy trucks.
Good.
Thank you very much.
We're going to continue to look at some of those other options where a portion of the road and work with the contractor and see if that's going to trigger some of those expenditures for remob and that kind of stuff. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, before Tom speaks, John Lupke here, just want to let you know that I'm not on their system. I'm only on the Wi-Fi or only on my phone. So I'm going to stay in the background. So when you have 3 commissioners there, so when it comes to a vote, I will just stay in the background. But I do want to listen to what's going on. So just to let you know, my signal here isn't the greatest and I'm getting it kind of chopped up. So if that's okay, I would just like to sit in the background and listen.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for your time today. We have one agenda item on for your discussion today, and that is to authorize a special timber auction for June 1st, 2026 at 8 o'clock in the Land Services meeting room, meeting rooms 1 and 2. As the result of the Flanders Lake fire, staff has gone out and prepared some salvage timber harvests. You'll see up on the map here this morning, we've identified 8 different timber sales to try and salvage and clean up some of the damaged red pine that is out there. These 8 timber sales approximately represent 868 acres of county fee and tax forfeited properties. There is considerably more areas that burned, but these are the areas where the trees have died or will die in the coming weeks and months. Like I said, we have 8 timber sales. We've been coordinating with our local loggers, our local mills, trying to find homes for this wood. We're looking at approximately about 25,000 cords of wood. Most of that is at a fairly significantly reduced price. The current value of that wood as it stands today is about $370,000. Because it burned, it's worth about 1/10 of that. If we were to be able to hold that wood until maturity, that would have represented about $4.6 million of timber that would have came off county land. As part of the timber harvest and the special auction that we're asking for today, our hope is to clear that material get the material that is unusable stacked and burned safely in the wintertime, and then return back in spring of '27 and plant what trees we can obtain. We have been calling around to the DNR and our our vendor, where we get most of our trees, PRT in Canada and Michigan, to obtain red pine seedlings. We're gonna plant everything we can in '27, mostly focusing along the County Road 11 corridor, trying to get that greened up and looking nice again. And then we'll come back in 2028 and plant the rest of the area. Yeah, that's, excuse me, that's it in a nutshell. You know, Tim did mention there'll be quite a few trucks coming out of here. You know, if everything sells, which is not a guarantee, anywhere from 1,000 to 2,500 trucks could come out of this area. You know, the timber sales are all unique. Some of them are very heavily damaged. Some of them are just charred enough that the pines will die, even though they may only be burned a foot or two up the tree. Red pine are not the hardiest when it comes to a fire, so that sap inside the bark has cooked and basically has cut off any ability for that tree to pull nutrients or water up into the canopy and they'll slowly die. Without a salvage harvest, we do have some risk of beetle outbreaks, you know, a secondary issue, you know, that could have continued to affect other surrounding properties and other county lands. So it is a high priority for us to get in there, start to remove some of this material, hopefully try to capture some value, but also for a public safety aspect as well, getting those damaged trees down and out of the way. So with that, I'll pause if there's any questions that the board may have.
Questions?
I would assume we need a vote to move forward on this today, correct?
Madam Chair, Commissioner, yes, you will need a motion to move forward with authorizing the timber sale.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor?
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Lee?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Yep.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Tom, before you leave, just for clarification on this map, the pieces in red, is that all county land?
Oh, yeah, I should clarify. Thank you, Madam Administrator. So what you see up there, the areas in red are private property that are shaded red. The blue areas are DNR managed lands, and then everything that's unshaded is county managed lands. Some of that's a mix of tax forfeiture, some of that is a mix of county fee. Most of what burned up here was that Mission property we just acquired back in October, unfortunately.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, the next thing on the agenda is the resolution renewing declaration of local emergency and local disaster related to the Flanders wildfire.
Correct, Madam Chair, Commissioners. As you recall, Chair Franzine did declare a local emergency. However, because it needs full board action to renew that emergency declaration was only good for 3 days, which is why you are here today in this emergency session to renew that declaration of emergency, which allows Clayton and his team to continue to do that work to capture what those potential costs will be.
Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the resolution to renew the declaration of local emergency and local disaster related to the Flanders wildfire.
I will second it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Lee. All those in favor?
Commissioner Lee?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye. Motion carries.
Madam Chair, before we adjourn, I'd like to say a couple things. As I mentioned before, I spent a fair amount of time up there, and I was able to witness some of the most astounding work I think I've ever seen. And I've been in law enforcement. I've seen a lot. I've been involved with 2 other wildfires that we've had in Crow Wing County. And it's come a long way from when I was there. A lot of the people that are sitting in this room were I've seen up there at this event, and the work that you guys do is phenomenal. And I want to mention a few things that most people don't pick up on, but you know, our highway department went above and beyond just with offering the services that they did. We had staff from Highway Department that was there with water trucks that were refilling all of our fire crews and keeping them with the ammunition they needed to fight that fire. And you know, a lot of long hours that you guys spent there, Brian and Jeff. I don't think they slept at all. You know, Nancy, our finance director, she was up there in the middle of a weekend that she wouldn't necessarily be expecting to be doing that, and she was a role that we wouldn't necessarily look at as being important, but it's instrumental in where we're headed in the future in the next 6 months as we deal with this. We've got 2 county employees that are both firefighters with different agencies, and not only were they on ours, but before they were on our fire, they came from 2 harbors. They were up in 2 harbors fighting their fires, found out that we had our fire coming down here, and came down and jumped right back in the middle of it as fast as they could, and that's astounding. In fact, one of those 2 I know received orders from his chief to go home and go to bed because he just didn't want to give up, and that's very much appreciative. And Tom, the work that you are doing right now doesn't seem like much to most people, but what you're doing now in preparation for the next 6 months is amazing too. And I've left Clayton for last on purpose because what people don't know with Clayton is since he started in his role, he has been preparing for this day nonstop. These tabletop exercises that he's put together was in preparation for today, or for Saturday. And what you put together is amazing. Thank you.
I just want to thank all of our staff for everything you've done. You've gone above and beyond what I ever expected. And it's just been an amazing thing to watch.
Madam Chair, if I could just add one thing to Commissioner Lee's comments as well. I want to also recognize the work that all of the departments did in collaborating, coordinating communications to make sure that it got out to the community. Our public information officer was working from the car on her way back from Iowa most of the day, coordinating with our departments that were working through getting those communications to her. Our IT team was making sure the website was the place to go to make sure folks could get the information that they needed. In times like this, I think it's super important not just to have communication put out, but knowing the channels where people can get the right information is always extremely important. And having that ability with all of our teams working collaboratively to have that one unified message really helped residents, citizens, making sure that the people who needed to know where to be and what was going on had the place to go to get that done. Excellent work all around.
Outstanding.
We just need to find Clayton an adrenaline rush hobby that doesn't involve natural disasters. I think would be a great thing to work on.
Farming, so.
Thank you all.
Madam Chair, if there's nothing else, I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I guess since there's nobody else, I'll have to second this one.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Commissioner Barrows.
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine.
Aye.
Commissioner Lee.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned at 9:00.